Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trail Talk. We are here in the Chuck Wagon studio at the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center in Duncan, Oklahoma, and we are so glad that you could join us today. And our very special guest for this Trail Talk is Kristen Arrington. That's with an E in case you're wondering. We were just discussing that. Kristen is, well, she and I have known each other for a long time. She invested a lot of time and energy into my daughter, actually, when she was a teenager. And anyway, Kristen and I go way back, and I was just glad to be able to invite her to be on Trail Talk today. Some of you may know Kristen, you may recognize her. She works as a financial advisor for Edward Jones. Locally, and then she is also, I'm sorry, I'm fogging up, guys. She's also just really in the community, volunteering, spearheading some events. She's just a really involved and busy lady, and so we're just going to kind of pick her brain and talk about investing in your business, investing in your community, and investing in yourself. And I am not going to take credit for that. Kristen came up with that pitch, but I love it. So Kristen, welcome to Trail Talk. So tell me, were you like born and raised in Duncan?
I was. I have lived in Duncan since 1970. And my husband and I, when we got married, our work took us away from Duncan all the way to Oklahoma City for about a year and a half. And then we were able to get right back here, and we both grew up in the town here. Our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents.
Really?
Yeah, so this was actually my great-grandmother's vehicle here.
Yeah. Great-grandma rode right into Duncan on this Chuck Wagon.
Yes, so we are very long, multi-generation Duncanites, and then my son is raising his family here. So
wow.
The legacy continues.
You know, that's a really cool thing. I don't know if I've really talked to anyone before who has that many generations here in Duncan.
Yes,
that's a really cool thing.
We joked about it when my husband and I started dating. I said, we're going to have to go to each other's family reunions before we get too serious and make sure that there's no crossover.
There's no cousin kind of thing happening there. Yeah, I have relatives around here, and we went to family reunion, and one of my cousins kept getting approached by another distant cousin, and he kept kind of hitting on her and stuff, and she was like, no, there's like, no, that's not gonna work.
Exactly. Yeah. So luckily it was all strangers at both events.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yes.
You guys can put that one aside. No weird family tree thing happening here. So you've been here, and how did working for Edward Jones come about? I know you haven't worked there forever. You worked at other places before that.
Yes. So I was a business owner here in town many years ago and managed the Chisholm Mall when there were a lot of businesses in there. Some of you may remember that, who have been in town for a long time. And after I sold my business and took some time off when the kids were young, and then worked my way back around to working at First Bank and Trust here in town, and made a connection with someone who worked at Edward Jones. And then 7 years later, that's where I am.
Okay, so that was 7 years ago. Wow.
It's been a while.
Yeah, that is crazy. And so what was it that excited you, or piqued your interest about? It wasn't necessarily changing careers. I mean, you're still involved in financial in an institution at a bank, but it is a very different role, I think. Right from
it really is. And as great as the bank was about their relationships with their customers, this has really given me an opportunity to meet with people, investors, families, one-on-one, and build that relationship with them. And instead of looking at, oh, you need a checking or savings or something like that, then we're able to take a full look at what their whole wealth management is, how everything works together, and come up with a strategy that takes all those things that are important to them and put it into one strategy to help mini goals.
Mhm.
And you just get to work with people so much more on a relationship basis, that you're not having hundreds of customers, that you have these clients that you're working with, and they really become friends and almost like
Mhm.
family. And so that just really appealed to me as a people person,
Right.
and was a great opportunity for me to be able to do that.
Okay. And so do you have like a education background that was in finance or what?
Yeah, I have a degree in business management, and then I also have a degree in economics. And so with the
Okay.
economics, I did get a lot of exposure to finance.
Right.
I watched Dynasty growing up, and I was going to, take on the world and wear my big
Right.
shoulder pads and all of that.
Exactly.
And family doesn't exactly let you go to New York City when you have kids.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so this was an opportunity to really take what I loved about that part of my education and bring it to Duncan, and
Uh-huh.
really, invest in people here to do that. And then the way that our business is set up, I have my own branch, and so it's me and one administrator that works there in the office, and we're able to run it like our own business. And so
Mhm.
even though, we see Edward Jones as a big company name, it's really a small business is what we're building there. And I like that aspect of it, of having that autonomy to do what I want to do
Right.
within that framework.
I know people that work in other Edward Jones offices here in Duncan.
Mhm.
So I've always thought it was interesting how you guys all coordinate and yet you are individual, like, I mean, like, Edward Jones, in fact, Edward Jones sponsors our free family art Mondays that we have
Mhm.
every summer. And, I know that that's more of a group effort
Yes.
kind of thing, but you guys each run your own individual small business. And I always thought that that was kind of a neat thing. Instead of being competitors within the company, you were able to contribute financially to your community as a whole.
Right.
And that I just thought that was kind of a neat thing that I learned.
And that's by
Okay.
intention. We talked about and planned a lot of how that we could have a bigger impact on the community if we work together and pooled funds and picked things to be involved in that we could then support as a team.
Uh-huh.
And that has helped us to make maybe a different impact than I would be able to make just as Kristen Arrington, to be able to group together in that way.
Right.
Has helped us to be able to put on things like to help with the art and Main Street Duncan and, different things like that we've been involved in.
Right. So, we're getting signals from the crew that we need to talk a little louder. So we're going to pick that up for you guys. So when you talk about investing in your business or, I guess, or your own personal finances, like what are some of the, maybe just like the top 3 things that like investment advice that you could just give in general?
I think what I found is that a lot of people don't realize how interconnected that their goals are. So they have a savings account that's we're paying our bills out of. We our checking account. We have a savings account that's for emergencies. We have these savings accounts that are for the kids' education. We're saving up to buy a home. We're saving for retirement. There's all of these different things, and people keep them very separated in their own little buckets. And there is a strategy of seeing how those things are interconnected so that you can maximize each one of those goals. And so I think that that's the first thing that's eye-opening whenever people sit down and look at everything that they're actually planning that has to do with money, that they are interconnected, and how doing one thing can take away from another thing, and how that you have to make priorities. Because retirement creeps up on you, and all of a sudden you've paid for all of these great things and we didn't plan for this.
Right.
And so that has been very eye-opening for me. when I was newer, and then seeing that light up with clients has been great. With small businesses, which is something that I have a passion for, we have seen that small business owners pour so much into their business and making their business successful that sometimes they forget about themselves. And so trying to help make that connection to make sure that their business and their personal things are successful. And then making sure that they have a strategy that they can be, they've made a plan and can be hands off so that they have time to focus on that business, because the last thing they want to do is sit around and talk about investments with me.
Right. Right. Yeah, for sure.
And then the other thing that we found is that people don't maybe feel comfortable asking for education on things they don't understand about investing. And so they maybe don't know, and then they don't know where to go for that information. And so they just kind of throw their hands up or push it to the side for later. And there's so many great resources out there to take control of your finances. And so we try to do just educational. They've all been virtual. We used to do educational things in person,
Right.
but they've been virtual lately. And so we try to do education on what's going on in the market and what does that mean? What are you seeing on the news versus, what's really happening in the world? And just very basic things. What's a stock? What's a bond? That type of thing. And so I would just say, educate yourself on those things so that you feel more empowered to make decisions and know what your options are. You want to know what you can do to try to reach those goals.
Right. Well, really good information. And I guess if someone was curious, they could contact you if they had some questions about, hey, where do I get started? What did you mean when you said this, that sort of thing. We'll put some contact information in the comment section. For anybody who has any kind of a financial question.
Absolutely. And then we also just do an email list of emailing market updates if you want that type of information, or emailing whenever we're going to have some kind of an event that you can tune into for that, whatever the topic is. If it's something that interests you, you can jump on. And it's things that it doesn't have to necessarily apply to our clients. It can be very general information. And so I would love for anybody who wants to educate themselves on that to reach out to us.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll put some contact information there in the comments then for that. So let's talk about investing in the community. Okay, because you have done that. I mean, I've seen it with myself. I've attended an event or two that you put on. I mean, of course, we both serve on a steering committee for Leadership Duncan. I mean, there's a lot of community involvement that you do. And how do you, well, let's just talk about that in general, and then I'll kind of ask you a couple of questions about that.
Okay, so obviously I've been in town for a very long time, and mentioning all of my family, my great-grandfather and my grandfather and my father-in-law all retired from Halliburton. And I've seen, obviously oil busts and booms and things like that through the years. And what I've noticed as I got older is that our town is going through an evolution, and that we are needing to bring in new businesses, but we're also needing to support the businesses that are here. But not only that, attracting people to a community, there's so much behind the scenes that, you have to have great schools, you have to have a great hospital, you have to have activities like this museum that people can have cultural experiences. And there has to be a wide variety because people have a wide variety of interests.
Yes.
And so as an adult, I started to notice other people that were doing things in the community and what a great impact that was having. And I thought, hey, why not me? And so when I was younger and had a lot more energy, I was
the good old days.
I was everywhere. I mean, there was, maybe 1 or 2 days a week that I wasn't doing something that was community involvement. And so as I've gotten older, my business has changed. I've had to say, these are the things I'm passionate about, and really spend my time there, because it does take time. Money, I know, is appreciated and has to be involved, but a lot of times, organizations just need volunteers. You need people to be doing the work to get the things accomplished. And so I think that just what I wanted for my children, what I want for my grandchildren, and going forward, what I want for Duncan. We have a lot of older people in the community, which is a testament to they worked here and retired here and they didn't want to leave, which is great. They're not escaping to somewhere else, but we want to have younger people coming in too. And there's something that appeals to them that's different than appeals to, other generations.
Right.
And we have to find those things and make the community fresh to attract people to continue to come and build the town.
Right. And I mean, in Duncan, there's literally a plethora of organizations that you could join. And I mean, the options are endless.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier, you were here and here and here and here. How did you stop and select the few that you feel probably most passionate about? I'm guessing that was a lot of the motivation, but kind of talk to us about that.
So just for me personally, because I love small business and feel like that I'm connected to Main Street because of where my location is.
Right.
I just poured myself into Main Street, just supporting the businesses that are there, but also the events that bring people into town. And so that was kind of a twofold interest because I could be a part of that district and really put myself downtown with other small business owners, but having the car show and the wine festival and all of the things, the Christmas parade, there's a lot of things that give back to the community or create events for people to come in for tourism. And so that was something that was important to me.
Right.
And then I saw through Leadership Duncan making connections with other organizations. It's so great because you make connections with the hospital and the schools and the local government and state government. And it's very much, it's a very broad range of people that are bringing together over that 9 months, not to mention all of the people that are coming into the class and all of the background that they have and the businesses that they've come from. And so I just thought that leadership class to me is so important because that is tomorrow's leaders. And I may not be able to be involved in all of the different things that I want to be involved in, but I can impact other people and hopefully inspire them to get them involved. And then we just have that many more hands on deck to get things done.
Exactly. And I mean, the day that you chair for Leadership Duncan, it's all about that community connection with those organizations. So yeah, I mean, I can see where that's definitely a passion and so important. And that way you don't get a lot of overlap, where every organization can take care of different things and work with each other without having to go and redo what someone else has already done.
Right.
I mean, it really benefits the community in a much more focused and strategic kind of way.
Right.
So,
and I think that it's important, just the way that I was saying, that we join our resources together so that we can have the greatest impact.
The Edward Jones does that. Yes.
If you have a passion, don't start something new. Look for somebody else that has that passion and join in with them, because your combined force is going to be so much better than what you can do on your own and they can do on their own.
Yes. And I mean, I don't know, contact the chamber or somebody, because they know about a lot of the organizations. And like you say, there's no reason to start something that someone else is already doing where your energy could already join with their resources and boom, really, really pull it off. So yeah, that's great. That's really great advice. So were there any like community organizations that you feel like have benefited you through the years?
I think that the leadership class introduced me to a lot of people that I'm really good friends with now, and helped to develop those relationships. And so I attribute some of my close relationships and close friendships with being involved in that class. And I think that, learning things at Main Street about event planning and coordinating and working with other organizations in town that has just help me see how things are connected all through the town.
Mhm.
You know, just because I'm doing this over here doesn't mean that I can't pull these other people in to be involved, and then we can all be better and have more exposure.
Right.
And so I think that that's been really great.
Mhm.
I've also made a lot of really great connections with small businesses who have become clients, with women investors that are really underrepresented group
Uh-huh.
as far as education and just taking control of their finances. And so I've made a lot of connections with women to be able to talk to them about what's important, what they're investing, and then a lot of them have become clients.
Mhm.
And so that's definitely helped my business.
Right.
But I think that, yes, I have gotten a lot out of being involved in those organizations. It's not just all give. It's
Mhm.
you go into it give, but there's a lot of give and take that you don't really think going into it is not something that you think is going to be an outcome.
Right. It's not, and it's not always a touchy feeling. Good feel, you do something and you think, oh, I'm gonna, I'll feel so good. But really it's not. Oh, it's not just about that, because there are so many things that your eyes are open to something new. You meet someone, you make a new friend, or your personal life or your business or whatever, it benefits from a lot of things. And it's like uh, a mutual benefit for everyone involved.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's good. I hope you guys heard our little guest there. He was enjoying himself in the little Cowtown stop that's behind us. So let's talk about investing in ourselves, investing in ourselves as people.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
And I think when I was new to this business, I was so focused on being perfect and doing all of the work and making all of the contacts and learning all of the things that I was burning the candle at both ends.
Right.
And I was sacrificing, I didn't realize it at the time, but I was sacrificing my health. I was sacrificing relationships. I was really not being a well-rounded person, and just got so tired and like that burnt out feeling.
Right.
And I realized that if I'm not taking care of myself physically, if I'm not taking care of myself emotionally and with my relationships, that I'm not being the most effective person that I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not thinking of the things that I need to think of because I'm tired or whatever. And so I learned early on that you have to take care of yourself so that you can give, so that you can be great at your job, so that you can build your business, because otherwise you're really just too tired to do anything.
Right.
I heard a saying that said, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I just think that that is so true. When you've worked so hard to build something and you're getting no joy from it because you're so tired or you have no friends left at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just you and your success.
You and your computer.
Yeah.
I think that taught me to invest in myself. And I've had some health struggles, and so I again just got really down on myself about why am I not able to overcome this, and just to be super vulnerable, just kind of threw my hands up and was like, whatever, I'm just not even going to try because nothing is making it better.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started really focusing on, okay, I can do this, I can conquer it, I can get better and get my body well so that I can be more effective.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only changed the outlook on that I feel better, but just my optimism in helping people has definitely improved. And so I think that by taking care of ourselves, it is the most generous thing that we can do for those that we're trying to help, our families, our business, whatever that it is, because if you're strong, you can be strong for other people.
Right, exactly. And, I was talking about mutual benefit. Sometimes I think we get the idea that these parts of our lives are mutually exclusive,
Mm-hmm.
and that one has to be the most important, when really, would you agree that you have to be able to balance it all? And I know that sounds a little cliche because everybody talks about all of the balance this, and there's been a million books and all those things about boundaries and margins and balance and all of that. But in reality, when you're walking it every day, you have to be able to do that, especially if you are a mom and you work and you're trying to take care of yourself too, or maybe your parents, whatever place in life you find yourself,
Right.
there you have to be able to make all of those things fit together.
Right.
And so as a, I mean, this is a little bit of a hot topic. We're not going to like try to get crazy or controversial or anything. I keep it low key on Trail Talk, y'all.
I always made promises.
We don't want anyone ripping their mic off and storming away. Now, I was just thinking about as a woman in the financial world and the community. Is there some advice you would give other women who maybe find themselves in a place where they feel like they're getting overlooked, or maybe running into a roadblock, something like that? Just some kind of words of encouragement or an example of a situation that you were able to kind of overcome.
Okay, so yes, break that ceiling.
Yes.
And what I found, and I got really comfortable with, is that I'm not for everybody. I have a certain style of how that I run my business, and that's not for everybody. I have a certain way that I interact with people, and that's not for everybody, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just being okay with who you are and not letting people make you waver from that
Mm-hmm.
is going to make you have such a more impactful relationship with the people that you are the person for them.
Right.
And so I have found that in business. I've found that in my work in the community. Believe it or not, you have people that you don't exactly work with well. And I got really comfortable with the fact that I'm not for everybody, and that's not a reflection of me, and it's not a reflection of them. We're just not meant to work together.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think about all of the women that have come before us, that have done things that were the first time a woman did this thing.
Right.
And to me, that's super exciting. If I am a woman who is going forward and doing something that hasn't really been done by a lot of women before, or that is just an underrepresented minority in whatever that it is I'm doing, that's exciting to me, because I think my daughter and my granddaughters, like, one of these days, it's not going to be something that's abnormal or something that's looked at as a minority.
Right.
And so that I find the excitement in that, I would say, instead of the fear, is important to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then just continually, we talked about investing in yourself as far as health goes, but just invest in yourself knowledge-wise. What are you passionate about? And then just learn and learn and learn about it. And if you're learning and there's not something that's easily accessible, do something to get that knowledge out there so other people can learn about it.
Right.
And we just get better the more that we pour into ourselves to do that.
Right. Well, you're talking about being the first woman to do this. Our education program right now, we're teaching about, we call them Oklahoma History Heroes, but there are a lot of women throughout history, Oklahoma women, who have done, been the first Maria Tall Chief, a great ballerina. She was the first prima ballerina in like the New York theater for dance. Just amazing feats like that. Shannon Lucid set a record for staying in space for the longest amount of time, and she considers Oklahoma her home. There are just like all these women through history who have done those things, and maybe we just don't think about them as much,
Right.
and really think about the things that the women who have come along before us and who have kind of set that mark and kept moving it forward, breaking that glass ceiling, like you're saying, and just wanting to, grab on and go with them, and move all that forward. But I love it, that you said, I think, basically just be yourself and just accept the fact that who you are is not going to make everyone feel awesome and great, but it will some people, and it's just, but that's okay, because it's always going to be that way,
Right.
and just accepting that fact. I'm one of those, I need everyone to like me. So it's nice to be able to hear you say that and just understand, just go with it.
Mhm.
You were made that way for a reason, just go with it.
Right. If we exhaust ourselves trying to be pleasers,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that women do that more. It might be a part of our nature or something, I don't know, but we want to please everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then that can make us not speak up when we need to, because I don't want to say that because I might offend somebody.
Yeah.
And so just, being comfortable that you're going to speak up, and some people are going to be like, yes. And some people are going to be like, I don't like her anymore.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was trying to think about how our conversation might tie in with the Chisholm Trail.
Yes.
Keep the powers that be happy. And literally the Chisholm Trail just like opened up a new world, a new way of for people to have a financial future.
Mm-hmm.
It just huge impact for people, seeing new parts of the country, experiencing people and places they'd never seen before. It just a whole new world was opened up with these cattle drives. And I think for young women in general, women who've been in our community for a long time, there's a trail, and you can follow that trail. It's going to lead you to great places, or maybe you just fork off of that trail and you find a new place. But our community is welcoming and open, and that, as we mentioned before, there are tons of groups that you could join and just stretch yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Always find that new thing or that new experience that you want to try. So anyway, how's that for a whoo?
That was
she really pulled that
bringing
one
it together
out of nowhere. Okay. So Kristen, what are your, you're from Duncan, but you must surely have favorite things about living in Duncan, because like my kids they're not exactly, I moved to Duncan as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
My kids were raised here, but I don't know, right now they just don't have a desire to come back to Duncan.
Sure.
So what are some things about Duncan that make it a place that you wanted to stay here?
I think that the childhood that I had here in Duncan, there are just so many favorite spots that I have. I have pictures of me in the airplane at Kittyland when I was, 5 years old with my cousins, and we just spent so much time. My grandmother lived over near the hospital. We were in that walking park that's, just right there not Alice, but off a beach. There's a lot of great memories. I worked in the original Walmart, was my job in high school.
Wow,
so,
out there where Tractor Supply is now.
So probably just driving around town and telling my kids, I remember when that was this, and I remember when that was that, going to Ward Mall and buying, the different color, going to Montgomery Ward's and buying a different color nail polish. I just have, my childhood was fantastic, and I just have a lot of great memories of the town. And then I see what it's evolving to now, things that I never realized were maybe missing, but have been such a great addition, like the trail project, and so many things for people to take their kids outdoors and enjoy. We have such a great park system, and places for the kids to go out and play, and things like the museum where you can come in and see all these great exhibits. I love the movie. I go see the movie every time I'm here. I love that experience. So when I hear people say, oh, there's nothing to do in Duncan, I just want to grab them and shake them, because there's so many great things going on. We have so many great productions. I was in a Duncan Little Theater play when I was very small.
Uh-huh.
And going back and looking at those pictures and going, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was in there with this person and this person and this person that I knew later in life for whatever reason.
Right.
And I just think all of those things were such happy memories that I want to make sure that we have them going forward for other generations so that, you know, other kids will look back when they're adults and go, man, that was a really great time.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, I have to agree with you. Those are all just so many of the reasons why I mean, my husband's employment was here, but you know, with Halliburton, a lot of times Houston is always on the fringe, you know, you end up having to leave here and go there. And we just never had to and didn't want to. We were just so happy to raise our family here in Duncan. And as I've gotten older, I can see, like you know, so many things that I want to invest in. And so, you know, viewers, if you have questions about things like that, you can contact us here. You can contact Kristen. She will be able to answer questions or at least point you in the right direction about financial questions, maybe some community involvement kind of questions. And well, we didn't even mention the Simmons Center,
Right.
a place where you can absolutely like work out or, you know, be a part of the classes and things like that are going on over there. And, you know, that's a really great thing that our community has. And that's a good place where you can invest in yourself right over there. So anyway, Kristen, thank you so much for being on Trail Talk today. It was just such a pleasure to have you on. And whenever it's time for us to leave, we always say happy trails. We don't have to sing it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because, you know, I know I'm not going to offend you. We are not, you and I, we're not singers.
No.
We're not singers. We can talk all day long.
I usually just lip sync, and you can't see that with the mask on.
Right, yeah. Watermelon. That's kind of my secret. So anyway, we're going to say happy trails and sign off. Thanks for watching today, guys. Now, remember, this is our last episode that starts at 2:00. Next week, we begin our 3:00 episodes. And also remember to set your clocks forward an hour this weekend. Daylight savings time kicks in. I know it's the worst one. I'm drained for weeks. I have an excuse for being tired then, right?
Right.
So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. And until then, happy trails.
Happy trails.
Bye.